Hello dear friends, excuse me for the delay, but I was in a discussion program. This topic is informative and not propagandistic because I am disgusted by eating insects. Opinion piece. The risk of eating insects. Eating insects in times of famine may cause allergic reactions. China is the world's largest insect-eating country. In Cambodia, fried tarantulas are eaten. It is considered taboo in the Western world. Eating insects is known as entomophagy. Food agencies want to combine us. Risk of microbe and insecticide poisoning. The Bible warns that eating insects would be detestable. Silkworm used in traditional Chinese medicine. Ancient medicine used fried, boiled, or ground cockroaches. Hypnotic past life regression in Atlantis and Lemuria. A €6,500 a month job sleeping to test mattresses. Let's start. In the deserts, it is common to eat moorish shriekers or crickets, grasshoppers or locusts roasted over an open fire, and in China's street food markets they even sell roasted centipede skewers. In China, the most numerous edible insects are caterpillars of 70 species. They say it is like eating shrimp, prawns or snails, but I have no interest in that experience because I don't even like snails. Some Mexican restaurants serve maguey worms. In Mexico, caterpillars of 67 species are eaten. The states where most insects are eaten are Michoacán, Oaxaca, Guerrero, Puebla, Hidalgo, Tlaxcala, Veracruz, Chiapas, Mexico City, and Querétaro. Asian cuisines have traditionally been the world's largest consumers of insects. China is the country with the second highest number of insect species registered as edible worldwide, with 324 species. In Southeast Asia, both giant water bugs and red palms weevils continue to be consumed as popular snacks. In Cambodia, both tarantulas and fried spiders are eaten as snacks. Various insects and other bugs have a culinary use in certain cuisines around the world, and depending on the culture and species, can be considered from poor man's food to delicacy. The species consumed vary from region to region due to differences in environment, ecosystems, and climate. The ingestion of insects as food for humankind is called entomophagy, a widespread habit in some regions of Asia, Africa, the Americas, and Oceania. Insects have always been part of the humankind's diet and are now consumed in many parts of the world, mainly in the tropics, because insects are more abundant and larger in those regions. However, in some other regions it is very uncommon or considered taboo. Geography. In Europe, the Romans and Greeks are known to have had entomophagous habits, and even Aristotle mentions the culinary use of cicadas. The Romans are known to have eaten the largest beetle in Europe, called the flying deer or lucanus. However, today in the West, the very thought of eating insects is repugnant, although other arthropods, such as the sea lobster, are considered a delicacy. The known cases of entomophagy are due to catastrophes and famines in Europe, not to habitual consumption. The fact is that they cannot be marketed by anyone in the European Union if they are sold for human consumption. An application for novel food authorization or notification for traditional products from said countries must first be submitted. However, in other regions of the world, insects serve as food for some humankind and some domestic animals such as fish. There are insect packaging companies, some of them in Japan and South Korea, which sell at relatively high prices. For example, in South Korea you can find beondegi cans or in jars. These are boiled or steamed silkworm pupae or pupae that are seasoned and eaten as a snack. They are often sold at street stalls as well as in restaurants and bars. They are also sold canned in shops. Some membranous winged Isoptera are eaten in Angola. Certain species of caterpillars in Cameroon, a species called Hormiga culona, is also eaten in the department of Santander, Colombia. And in Congo, certain species of insects are prized for their high protein, fat, niacin, and riboflavin content. Insects may well have been part of the human diet since ancient times, before the development of tools for hunting and agriculture. Evidence for this hypothesis has been found in the analysis of fossilized excrement from caves in Mexico and the US. Detritus found in caves in the Ozark Mountains was analyzed and found to contain insects such as cockroach larvae, ants, termites, lice, and some arachnids such as ticks and mites. Cave paintings depict a collection of bee nests as depicted in the Altamira cave in Athens, Spain, dating from approximately 30,000 to 9,000 before Christ. At this time, humankind fed on pupae and larvae sweetened with honey. Wild silkworm larvae have been found. Insects as a medicine. The use of insects and their products are a remedy for therapeutic purposes is known as entomotherapy. It is a traditional medical system in which practices such as amulets, spells, etc. are also involved. Many species of insects are used in various cultures as ingredients in recipes or as therapeutic elements in the treatment of both physical and spiritual illnesses, in many cases only as a part of a ritual, and in others because insects may contain active ingredients of medical relevance. Since time immemorial, insects and some products extracted from them have been used as medicines in many cultures around the world. The Ebers Papyrus, an Egyptian medical treatise dating from the 16th century before Christ, contains several remedies obtained from insects and spiders. The silkworm has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for at least 3,000 years. The larvae of flesh flies have been prized for centuries for healing infected wounds. Many species are used live cooked ground in infusions, ointments, and salves, in both preventive and curative medicine, as well as in magico-religious rituals aimed at maintaining or improving the patient's health. Insects are used especially for the treatment of respiratory, renal, hepatic, stomach, cardiac, endocrine, neuronal, circulatory, dermatological, ophthalmological, pancreatic, reproductive, etc. conditions. Cockroaches, cooked or ground with oil, have been used in the treatment of epilepsy and earache. Earwings to cure otitis and fried cicadas for urinary bladder ailments. Honey was used during the Crusades to treat stomach, skin, and eye complaints. Bedbugs were used to treat urinary tract obstruction and quaternary fever. Modern propaganda. Insects are generally very efficient at converting food, their high level of reproduction making the most of the nutrients in their environment to convert them into proteins, vitamins, fats, etc. Insects require less food than conventional livestock. Some insects produce protein at a much higher rate than other animals that provide meat for humankind, up to about 20 times the production of a cow. This is why some food agencies are thinking that insects could be the main source of protein in the human diet of the future. Let them eat them if they like them so much. Entomophagy is mainly protein. For example, a grasshopper has 20% protein compared to a beefsteak, which has 27%. The protein concentration can increase once the insect has been kept dry and can be as high as 60%. Some caterpillars can have between 30 and 80% protein content. In addition, insects can provide minerals, vitamins, and fats. The supply of each of these nutrients depends on the species, the preparation of the insects, and within the same species depends to a large extent on the habitat. Dangers. According to a FAO report, pathogenic microbes in insects are considered harmless to humankind, but can carry microorganisms harmful to health, especially under poorly controlled hygienic conditions. Bacterial species have been associated with edible insects, and although the risk associated with foodborne viruses from consuming edible insects is low, they are believed to be potential vectors. Different species of fungi found on the body or gut surface of edible insects have also been linked, and antimicrobial resistance genes are an emerging concern as they may affect human health. Chemical risks. Insects raised on agricultural waste may be exposed to mycotoxins, crop protection products such as pesticides, and other chemical hazards such as toxic metals and dioxin. In addition, if livestock and poultry manure is used for insect rearing, they may be exposed to antimicrobials and pesticides. Other substances of concern to specialists include flame retardants, dioxins and mineral oils, antimicrobials and their use for the treatment of microbiological and parasitic infections of edible insects are also of concern, for which there is little literature. Opinion. The Risk of Eating Insects by John O'Sullivan. Should you eat insects as a basic part of your diet? Not according to the best reviewed research. Contrary to what you have been hearing in the mainstream media, there is little or no scientific information on the long-term effects on the human immune system of eating farm-raised insects. In fact, the scientific literature warns about the known risk of allergic reaction from eating insects, which could also worsen a number of ailments. In addition, there is an associated risk of intoxication by microbial pathogens and insecticides. Another study showed that chitin, a key component of insects, acts as a threat to other organisms. Historically, our ancestors have long known that eating insects is a last resort to avoid starvation. The Bible warns that eating insects is detestable, and they have been known over the centuries as famine foods. They are eaten in times of food shortage or when it is problematic to buy and harvest conventional food. The mainstream media would have you believe that billions in the third world happily eat insects with no ill effects, but the truth is that there have been cases of severe reactions. In the early 1950s, it was discovered that a large number of people living in Malaysia had been infected by an intestinal platform or an infection of harmful bacteria which they had contracted from eating dragonflies. Opinions. Trade wars will end when nations agree to use a new neutral currency, opines Mid-Mess Fair. The international conflict between nations over the economy and the financial system can only end when they agree to use their new fair and neutral currency. The best possible solution using a new neutral currency that is based on the average value price of important real physical goods such as metals, foods, or basic foodstuffs of popular commodities in general. It would be very easy to print a paper currency called the new official international currency based on the average price of oil, gas, rice, wheat, cotton, timber, bronze, silver, gold, coffee, sugar, etc. Neil Oliver says, "It is hard to tell yourself you have been played for a fool, but open your eyes. I learned decades ago that governments were not for us. We are in a trap like the Matrix. We are farm animals and we are trained by regulations and laws. We are used as cannon fodder for wars organized by private interests. This is a system of black magic control of a people, and now it's time to wake up from the nightmare and redeem our world." Technology. Google demonstrate robot waiters. Will technology replace people? By Leo Hohmann. Davos Forum senior advisor Yuval Noah Harari said in a recent interview that the vast majority of the world's 7.5 billion people are no longer needed because of the technological advances in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and bioengineering. In quotes, "We simply don't need the vast majority of the population," said Harari, who is a senior advisor to Klaus Schwab. Harari repeats his earlier predictions of a useless class of unemployable humankind, in quotes. In previous statements, Harari has said that these useless people will have to be pacified with drugs and entertainment, or else we will have a problem on our hands. How do we get rid of billions of useless eaters? He asks. Now, in the 21st century, people are no longer part of the story of the future, in quotes, says Harari. They simply have no role. Humankind 1.0 is being phased out, and only those humans willing to transition to humankind 2.0 and join to the new transhuman species would be welcome in the emerging technocratic society. Harari can say that humans have been replaced by artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, and bioengineering, and it is true that these technologies are now driving the world's economies as technocracy and globalism lead to a global dystopian end times state. Curious. The best job in the world, €6,500 a month for sleeping to test mattresses. The James Webb Space Telescope shows that the Big Bang didn't happen. New Russian orbital station unveiled. The highlight is the orbit it will be in. This will give it a whole range of possibilities. Among them will be the ability to better monitor the planet and fly over places that were previously inaccessible. Scientists say they have found a low-cost way to destroy cancer-causing chemicals forever in everyday pieces, such as food packaging, non-stick pans, and women's makeup. Researchers at Northwestern University reported the results of a study in the journal Science. The Mandela Effect community on Reddit and YouTube started talking about people who had seen an object in the moon to hit the moon. Two friends were sitting by Lake Monroe, Florida. Late at night, they watched the moon fracture, then reassemble, as if it were part of an alternate reality or glitch. Truly bizarre. Hypnotic Regression to Past Lives in Atlantis and Lemuria by Dr. Michael Sala explains the powerful red crystals used for healing and weapons applications by the Lemurians and Atlanteans, respectively, how these were purchased from Earth by visitors from the stars. Finally, he explains how the Bermuda Triangle lies over the remains of ancient Atlantis, where some of the red crystals remain active. Wise advice. Operations Disclosure by Mark Bogman. Trust the skills you have because they were not accidental. If you feel the need to take on a new task, do it. People are being assigned right now to the role they were designed for. If you feel the need to do something new, it is no accident that the need is upon you. At this point, everyone must be put in their place. Get to the city you want to be in, but with the people you want to be with, and develop friendships. Don't get left behind out of fear. Don't get stuck in the unknown. If you feel like it, you have to listen to it. According to John O'Savin, the coalition will only give a date if it is a military deception, because they are not going to give us a date when things will happen. It will happen to our greatest surprise, especially giving redemption dates. They are just going to notify you, and I don't know how that's going to happen. They haven't told me my phones can be tapped. They are not going to give me information that can be used by other people. We are under a different set of rules and regulations. The bottom line was that there would only be a handful of military intelligence who would be told when the liquidity release would happen, and they don't talk. The date would be decided by the quantum computer and would be based on security issues. The heavens are really pleased. The coalition is very excited about this. We are working with divine timing. Everything will be perfect as it unfolds. Let us not get too upset or too angry with the coalition about the way they are doing things, because when the time comes, we will not have to worry about having problems with our government trying to take our money or other people finding out who we are. They will take those kinds of people away from us, and they won't cause us problems. We are just doing in the way, and what a blessing it is for us, because we get to do our humanitarian work, and they are going to provide us with everything we need. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.